Pembrokeshire sides, loads to be settled over the next few weeks. But we're in that time of the year, Fraser and Tom, where we do get that crossover, don't we, in the county between cricket finishing and football starting. And we are very much there, Fraser, because pre-season tournaments have been well underway now for a few weeks, haven't they? And players are getting ready for the new season.
Yeah, two big ones last week. Teams tend to start their friendlies and their pre-seasons a lot earlier this time. You noticed that, which we talked earlier actually about impacting cricket. I know a couple of cricket teams weren't happy last Saturday about some fixture clashes and injuries and not being able to field the side, but that's another debate for another day. But yeah, two big finals last week. And Goodwick United, I mean, serious statement to beat Clarbeston Road 8-0 in the semi-final of that Eddie Merry, of course, losing to Clarby the last time we met in that Senior Cup final. I'd have to see the Clarby lineup to pass full judgment on it, but it's a serious statement that after what happened last year, they then played Bridge in the final, beat them quite comfortably with 3-0 as well. Bridge not really threatening there. So Goodwick looking good shape. Haken as well, probably looking in better shape than last season with Scott Davis back and some players back. And of course, a shock result last year in the summer when they lost the Joe Lennon Cup final for the first time since the inaugural tournament in 2010, I believe. But got it back this year. Revenge on Milford United, 3-0 on Friday night. Jack Britton hat-trick. So Haken and Goodwick probably shaping up to be the two main challengers, but we'll know a lot more when the weeks coming into the season start, of course. And looking at that Goodwick Clarby result, I think this Friday the Jubilee Cup will be a much truer reflection of where both sides are at.
Yeah, I'd love to hear from anyone who is going to be playing football and cricket over the next few weeks, as it is possible, because the Pembrokeshire League games will be on Tuesdays, won't they, to begin with? So it allows players to do both if they want. Fraser, is that quite common? Do we see players play for both sports? Yeah,
it usually happens quite often, but more so in the last couple of weeks of the season. Obviously, with this complication of the Bank Holiday Monday, I don't know how it will impact that year because there will be games on that Tuesday.
Yeah, okay. You mentioned just then the Jubilee Cup, and let's just focus on that for a sec. It's Pembrokeshire's Community Shield, really, isn't it? At Monkton Lane on Friday, it's a 6:15 kickoff. So it's Division 1 champions Goodwick against Senior Cup winners Clarbeston Road. If you would like to go, £4 to get in, £2 for concessions, under 11's free. And actually, do you think both sides take that game pretty seriously, really? That's a proper warm-up, isn't it?
Yeah, 100%. Chris O'Sullivan, Goodwick manager, he puts a lot of focus on winning trophies and he puts a lot of focus on pre-season games. Actually, you saw that 3-0 win over Bridge in the Eddie Memorial. He only made one substitute, and you would think he was probably in a pre-season game, a final, not unload your bench if you were 3-0 up with a few minutes to go. But he refuses really to ever go down that road. He manages every game with a lot of intent. And after that cup final loss that we spoke about, they'll want to draw first blood over Clarby. They'll want to make a statement. And Clarby, it's a big game too, because, their cup final success, it was unexpected last year, but, they have been up there in cup finals before in the league the last couple of years. And this year's a big test of them now. It's a challenge because the challenge ahead of them is can they turn being a dangerous team into a title challenging team? And that's where they haven't quite got in the last couple of years, despite all the progress they've made, but they've got the potential to do it. And this Friday night is, again, their first chance to make a statement on that, and their first chance to come out and say that the cup final wasn't a one-off, we're not satisfied it, and we want to push on from it.
That's going to be interesting on Friday night, isn't it? Yeah, a real good marker ahead of the new season. How about you, Tom? Are you in action for Broadhaven at all this season?
I haven't yet because of the aforementioned all-inclusive. But I will be
He's
back.
just got married. Good luck.
Yeah.
I'll do my best.
Excellent stuff. Yeah, and there'll be a lot of lots of players, Fraser, looking forward to the new season, though, won't there? And it's going to be exciting again. Teams to watch out for. Obviously, you mentioned the usual. So Goodwick and Clarbeston Road just winning the Senior Cup. Have you got a dark horse for us? Maybe one just to keep an eye on as the new season starts.
I think the obvious dark horse would be Clarbeston Road to come out of it, the pack. Actually, nearly finished above Haken last year. Left it a little bit too late. But yeah, if Matthew Fox and Matthew Ellis, that we spoke about, can get them performing consistently. They've already proven they can beat teams on their day. Carew as well, dependent on what's come through there. Their team has fluctuated a bit in the last few seasons. Not got over the line in winning a trophy, but have challenged in plenty. Now, they had a very poor season last year. I don't think they'll be title contenders, but I expect a lot better from them this year. I expect them to be up there in the chasing pack. But unfortunately, and when I say unfortunately, I just mean in terms of we like to see a wide open title race, don't we? So I don't mean literally unfortunately, but I can't see much change in out of the usual contenders. You know, Aiken and Goodwick will obviously start as two. Goodwick start as favourites. They have to win the title in that fashion last year. Aiken should be the main challengers.
Do you think Miller's Bridge want to be in that conversation? Because since I've been doing the sports show, they've had this young team. They've had a young team for a couple of years. Will they be wanting to do something a bit better this season?
I missed that, Tom. Which team?
Merlin's Bridge.
Merlin's Bridge. It again. You know, they would have been disappointed not to really challenge Goodwick for that Eddie Merry final. They play Aiken on the opening night, Tom, so we'll probably get a better indication of what you're saying there. You know, Bridge have blood young players in the last couple of years. It will be dependent on whether people like Joe Leahy are fully fit and available as well, and what the situation with him and players like that. So I think they've got too big a gap from last year to bridge in terms of being title challengers, to be honest, Tom, but I wouldn't be surprised if there's progress there.
Okay, Jason says it's going to be a close season. Dark horses, if Tenby can be consistent, I think they'll turn some teams over. Fair shout, Phrase?
Yeah, interesting view that, actually. Yeah, Tenby do have potential come through. They could come up fifth, really flew through the league since they disbanded and started again in 5. But they have consolidated now in 1. So, again, title challengers, no, I don't think so. But a team that can certainly be in the chasing pack and upset the big boys on one-off days, yeah, absolutely.
Okay, and of course, and we've covered it a bit the last few weeks, a small factor, and it might be a bit of a lottery, is the new sin bin rules. So
new sin bin rule, it will impact teams, and of course where boys have gone and travelled to and from as well. It's hard to pick up to keep up with Pembrokeshire transfer news. I can tell you that for nothing. They fly about in the summer, so it'll be a couple of weeks before we see in what kit, that's for sure.
And we will keep an eye on how that sin bin goes. That's for dissent, of course. We covered it with Marty Jones last week on the show. Players will be sin bin for for 10 minutes if they're guilty of dissent. And we'll just have to see how refs apply that through those opening few weeks. Yeah. You feel that will be quite key in those opening few weeks whilst it settles down. And it could go one way or the other, couldn't it? You could see a lot going in the sin bin, or you might see refs don't use it a great deal. So we'll be watching that with interest, and we'll follow that as we get ready for the new season. Don't forget then the Jubilee Cup game is this Friday, and then the league season starts next Tuesday. Another mention, Stephen Price, Penna Robbins could be a team to watch this season.
Actually, cool to miss them out. Actually, we talked about signings. They have made a lot of signings. They've been announcing on Facebook. They've got a strong squad. They won the Weaver Callan Trophy. Senior Cup semi-finalists last year actually pushed Goodwick a lot closer than people envisaged in that semi-final, so that's a good shout from Pele Price there. Penal Robbins could be, I wouldn't even say it's a surprise package with this amount they strengthened, but they certainly could be a force. Again, like we say with the rest, they need consistency there.
Okay, we've named a few dark horses there. It's going to be an interesting season.
We've named half the table.
Exactly, going to be interesting. It was the first game of the season for Haverfordwest County yesterday. Tony Pennock, delighted actually. They had a really good win, 1-0 away to Connors Quay. Penalty in the 54th minute gave them the victory. Tony Pennock, who we heard from after the Gloucester City friendly, and they lost that day, but he was in really quite buoyant mood actually, and he said the work we did in pre-season showed that the boys are in a good place. Had a great win at Carmarthen in the Cup last Saturday. I have to say, Fraser, that first game of the season, I always think if you want to win it, don't you? You want to get 3 points on the board early. It gets that monkey off your back. You've got the win. So to go to Connors Quay and win yesterday, I don't think that should be underestimated, especially with quite a few new faces in that Haverfordwest side.
Yeah, 100%. They didn't start particularly well last year, did they, in the league after the European adventure? So they won't want to leave themselves playing catch-up for that top 6 finish that we always talk about. Again, they want to be in a scenario where they've got more control of that situation with the closing weeks of the season, if that is indeed their target. Again, fully expected to be, yeah. So to go on the road a long trip like Connors Quay is pointless saying, because in that league you've got to be used to going to North Wales. As a simple fact, they have to go there frequently. But to go, win, clean sheet, all the basic ingredients, first game of the season, you take that 3 points, irrespective of performance, to be honest to you, Ben.
Yeah, I think that's a really, really good start. And it's interesting you mentioned Europe, and I know there have been one or two comments coming around because TNS didn't play yesterday, did they? I think they were given some form of dispensation not to play on the opening day because of their European commitments. So I think one or two at Haverfordwest will be looking at that with interest, actually. And not just Haverfordwest, other sides in the league.
Yeah, Rob Edwards did make a comment online, actually. I did notice that. To be honest, you don't have a problem with the league supporting Welsh sides in Europe. I think where there is perhaps a little bit of resentment about it is I think I'm not sure that precedent has applied to previous teams in Europe. So you could kind of see where it comes from. But if they were to do it from now on and they were to keep doing it, I personally don't have an issue. I don't have an issue with the league supporting Welsh teams in Europe and trying to help them.
But be consistent, I think.
Yes,
you have to be. You can't just make it up as you go, can you?
No.
You have to be consistent.
Totally agree. If that's the precedent they've set and they stick to it, then I don't have an issue with it now.
Yeah, Jason says that was a tough start for Haverfordwest. To pick up 3 points is a great result. Should have been more as well, looking at the highlights. And they do some really good coverage, the Bluebirds, led by Ryan Evans, of course. So you can follow how Haverfordwest get on if you can't go to the games. And you mentioned the trips to North Wales, another long one coming up on Saturday. In fact, the only game being played in the Cymru Premier is Haverfordwest on Saturday, away to Carnarvon. It's a 5:15 kickoff. So those games, they come thick and fast. And the long journeys come thick and fast as well, don't they? So, they've got that one to come. And then, of course, the first home game of the season will be Friday, 23rd of August in Carmarthen. And that's when Penybont are the side they're playing. So it's not an easy start. And then come through the game on Saturday with another decent showing. That will actually set things up nicely for that match against Penybont. But a really good start at the weekend. That's excellent. Phrase, the championship season started. I'm sorry to have to go there so early in the season because I did wonder, and we talk about good starts. It was a tough game for Swansea, wasn't it? Going to Michael Carrick's Middlesbrough. Yeah. Could have been going to Wayne Rooney's Plymouth. That would have been easier. But a disappointing start nonetheless for the Swans, losing 1-0.
Disappointing, not so much in the nature of the result. You expected a tough game, but the performance was pretty tough. That has to be said. It's a concerning situation at Swansea now that the investment hasn't come in over the summer. The signings have been pretty uninspiring. It has to be said. They've lost key players and not really replaced them. Just looking, we always look at the Pembrokeshire involvement, don't we? It could benefit Liam Cullen. He did play 90 minutes, which was rare for him actually, even when starting. He did play 90 minutes on Saturday. I do expect him to be a regular now up front this year, a regular starter, despite the signings and of Vic Popnik, I think, from Slovenia. But no, I've got deep concerns about Swansea staying in that division this year. I'm actually going down tomorrow night. They're at home to Gillingham in the League Cup. And we look at our other Pembrokeshire boys, and Evan Watts has been in and around the first team frame in the summer because I have had an issue replacing goalkeeper. Interesting to see if he is involved in any form tomorrow. Actually, it'd be great if he was to be handed some kind of debut. And obviously Joe Allen, and this is a conundrum that we keep talking about with Joe Allen, injured for the start of this season. You know, they chose to take him on for that extra year's contract. As much as I love Joe and what he's done for Swansea, I thought it was a very questionable decision when you look at his fitness record in the last 2 years. And this far, it's been the same old story. He's out, and we're not sure how long for. So it's a pretty uninspiring and concerning start, I'll be honest with you, Ben.
And that game tomorrow, actually, because when you lose your first game of the season, having a League Cup game on a Tuesday, which always happens at this stage in the season, you don't want to lose that, do you? So Luke Williams will be thinking, how many changes do I make? Do I rotate too much, or do we try and get the win? Because if we don't get the win, all of a sudden the pressure is building. And actually, it builds on the manager a bit, because I think he came in to replace Michael Duff, didn't he? Who for whatever reason didn't work out, even though I sung his praises when he got the Swansea job. That didn't go great, did it? But Luke Williams came in with some quite good grace, I think, because having been at the club previously. It probably won't last forever though, Fraser, will it?
It will you'll have fans begin to turn. I think most understand understand the situation, so I think beginning to turn is maybe the right term. But I think the concern I just talking about will deepen if they lose to Gillingham. He has come out today and he said there will be changes, but he will be fielding sides to win the games. He wants to win it. And it's just, look, the League Cup isn't Swansea's priority by any means, but it would just be the message it sends out and the lack of momentum, I think.
Yeah.
And Gillingham, League Two side, they did win 4-1 over Carlisle on Saturday, so it was a good start. So I'm a little bit worried about it, I'll be honest with you.
And a Championship manager did get sacked today. Ryan Lowe was sacked by Preston today, having lost his first game of the season, I think 1-0 at the weekend. It it's a crazy league, the Championship, isn't it? And patience isn't something that teams tend to have, and rightly or wrongly. But yeah, it's a tough league, so Swansea do need to bounce back. Cardiff had a bad start too. They lost at home to Sunderland. So actually, it was Wrexham, wasn't it, in League One, flying the flag for the Welsh clubs with a 3-2 win against Wycombe. And you just get the feeling that could be the story of the season. I don't know. It feels like that could be the one in League One. You could see Wrexham going through that league, I think, Fraser, and getting promoted at the first attempt.
I mean, with the investment they've had, there's perhaps no excuse not to. Not to be up there. Certainly, they've gone up now 2-3 years in a row. It's not a sin. Sorry, 2 years in a row. They are going for a third promotion. To go up a third year in a row would be a great achievement. It's not a Cinderella story that everyone tends to paint it with Wrexham. They've gone up because of Hollywood illness bankrolling them. Let's be honest with you, but they have done it in the correct way and engaged the community while they're doing it. But it wouldn't surprise me to see them up there again. That's for sure. And
okay.
Yes, I'm bitter about it.
I would never have guessed.
That documentary.
You might end up on the documentary yet next season.
That's what documentary I haven't watched, I tell you.
Well, if they're watching, there's the clip. Fraser's just done it for you. Excellent stuff. And of course, the Premier League starts at the weekend, doesn't it? So Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, the games are stretched right out across the weekend. So all of a sudden, and we're going to talk about the Olympics, but in a minute. But we move very quickly, don't we, from the Olympics finishing? We've got the Paralympics to come and the Premier League season. It's going to be a busy weekend, isn't it?
Yeah, thinking fast for Euro 2024, it does feel like it comes around a bit quicker. We haven't had the break from football, which is fine. We like watching football, don't we? Yeah, it's going to be a dramatic weekend. It always is on the opening thing. Manchester City start favourites. I haven't been that impressed with City's transfer work this summer. I think it could be the year for Arsenal that Arsenal do come through. So. If you're going to mention Wrexham's potential success on here, then I'm going to.
You can get me on that one. I wonder about Tom's team, actually, because I think Arne Slot at Liverpool, that could be quite interesting. I think he'll play front foot football, and I think they might be one to just have a look at. Sometimes it goes either way, doesn't it? But just wonder whether he might just be a new voice and refresh things, Tom.
Fingers crossed. It's looking good though of what I've seen so far, and that intent in going forward. And then goal scorer gets sold a day after, so we'll see what the plan is.
Talking goal scorers, Dominic Solanke to Tottenham, I think was a great piece of business, actually. 55 million, a lot of money, but I think he'll do well. Okay, plenty of football to cover. We'll be doing that in the weeks ahead, no doubt. Final part of the show to come. We would love to hear some of your Olympic moments. I think KT is going to join us as well, because the golf was interesting. And I think golf is on the programme for LA. So we'll talk to KT about that, and also some of your favourite Olympic memories. And we can share some of those as well in the final part of the show. And we will just round up the Pembrokeshire interest as well. We were all shouting, I think, at the TV, cheering on Mickey Beckett, weren't we? Was it last Wednesday, wasn't it? And really wanted him to do it. All of a sudden, I became a sailing expert. How hard is that sport to watch live, though? Goodness me, because you have false starts, it stops, and then you think, oh, he's in it, and then he's not in it. So we'll talk about that in just a sec, and some of your favourite moments from the last couple of weeks in Paris as well. That's to come in the final part of Pure West Sport next.
Pure West Sport Show, sponsored by Eaton-Evans.